Oh my goodness. Welcome to Talkin Baseball. It is Wednesday, February 15th, 2023. We all got laid last night. We got the kids on the show. Let's go. What is up, everybody? We got the kids on the show today. We got topics. We got questions. We got Jolly, Olive, and I just started liking martinis. Whoa. And here you are on the show, episode 601. That's one better than our 600 show. The bosses are off frolicking on the beaches of St. Lucia. But somebody's got to keep the company's lights on, and that is where we're at today. So we got Jolly, we got Beavers, we got the amp going. They're going to give us questions today, a couple topics before we hit that. But Jolly, welcome, my man. Thank you for filling in. How you doing? How was your Valentine's Day?
My Valentine's Day was great, Trev. I appreciate you asking that. We had a nice Italian dinner, classic red wine. Got my girl a nice gift card to Ulta because she loves shopping there, and I don't know.
That's like, way to go, bro.
Come on, man, all day.
Go get an item.
Whatever you want on me.
Wow.
And I had my walk-offs against Jimmy and Jake, so naturally I get their chair when they're gone because that's kind of the deal. And I'm feeling good. We're flying high.
Yeah, it's like a king of the court situation.
Exactly. Once they walk off me, then they can have it back.
A couple walk-offs. The last one against Jake was an absolute bullet, too. Beavers, what about you? How was your Valentine's Day?
Yeah, in a long-distance relationship, so I'm seeing her tomorrow.
Tough.
Did not get laid last night. Just she's going to listen to this, so just to be clear, I did not. But
okay.
See you soon.
That's great, man. We what are you guys going to do? Do you have any plans or?
Going to a dinner
you seem like
Saturday.
A planner.
We like to have a plan in place. We're going to a dinner Saturday. I sent the flowers, sent some chocolate-covered strawberries, all that, and a couple gifts making the trip down with me. Allegedly, I have some gifts waiting for me there. So
huge.
There's a lot of pressure on, you when Valentine's Day comes around. You got to go the flower route. You got to go the gift route. And then, what are you going to get? I think, Jolly, you hit it right there. A gift card to Ulta.
Come on.
I don't think any girl is going to be mad at that.
Can't say no.
I think that's kind of the way to go. I did the spa package, the massage, all of that, because it's one of those things where you think about getting massages, but you never go. But when you have a gift card and like a package ready for you, I think it makes it a little easier to get out the door.
That's the husband gift, I think. I got the boyfriend gift. That's the husband gift.
Yeah. Valentine's, you can thread that needle pretty good. Doesn't got to be anything too extravagant, but something nice and personal.
It's got to be something.
Depending on the relationship you've got, maybe it's tickets to an event. And Talkin Baseball is brought to you by SeatGeek. Use code Talkin for $20 off your first order. We're always brought to you by SeatGeek. They've got, if you're familiar with the traffic light system,
I am.
You understand how the website works. Green bubbles are good deals. Red bubbles are bad ones. Stop. Don't get one of those. And there's some yellows in between. They got a numerical score to go along with it. It's all good. $20 off your first order. Code Talkin, SeatGeek. Easiest website, app in the world. Get tickets. It's what I use every time.
Really good segue for the
Speaking
first one.
Speaking of easy. No, we're not talking about me on Valentine's Day night. We're talking about April schedules. And one of the questions, we sent out a tweet. We said, hey, man, we're going to be doing a show. We want your questions. We're going to take some live from Ant, but on the Twitter sphere, send us what you got. And one of the things we came up with, which I don't know if we have the Twitter handle. Want to shout it out, Beavers?
Yeah. Oh, grabbed topic for the other one. The question comes in from, her name's Commissioner Shayla. It is at Shay Lars on Twitter.
Yes.
Which teams do you think?
Oh,
that's the wrong one. That was the other one I was considering.
Oh, no.
Oh, shit.
She asked about schedules in there, but great question.
She's probably in the chat right now.
Start. Probably is. Right now. So mad, but maybe she'll call in later and we can answer that question. This comes from some guy named Ed at the Ed Riley. which team will have the best start to the season and who will have the most surprising April.
Okay.
Yeah, we like this one. This is for me, it's one of those questions where I'm like, I don't know, because nobody knows, because we don't know anything about the baseball season. Last year I picked the White Sox and the Brewers to be in the World Series. That didn't happen. They didn't even make the playoffs. So sometimes you got to let ball play. You got to let the ball play a little bit, Jolly.
I agree.
Before the show, we said who we were going to pick, and we said the division first, and we all had an AL East team as one of our teams, and so we were scared that we were going to have the same team. We ended up picking 3 different teams, which is interesting. So I'm going to let Jolly go first. I think you have an interesting team here, and I'm curious to see why you think they're going to get out to a good start.
Trev, first of all, thank you for the courtesy letting your guest go first. I mean, that's great etiquette, pod etiquette. So for me, I'm going to kind of tackle the second part of this question. Who will have the most surprising April?
Okay.
And it is an AL East team. It is not BBD's Yankees. It is not Trevor Plouffe's Rays. Famously played for that franchise. We all know that. It is my second team, my second love, the team that I got to see play twice last year at Camden Yards. The Baltimore Orioles, I think, are going to have a very good first month of the season. And here's why. The Orioles, they didn't have an amazing offseason. In fact, they kind of underwhelmed me a little bit. Thought they would do a little bit more. Was a little sad about it. But they're letting the kids play this year. Gunner's going to get some playing time. Kyle Stowers, he's going to get some playing time. They got some arms in the rotation. Maybe we see Grayson this year. And I'm looking at their schedule. I'm perusing around. And they're playing a lot of teams that I think are kind of on their level. And they have a lot to prove after last year. They shocked some people. In April, they have the Red Sox. They have the Rangers. They have a lot of games against the Tigers. And then they have a couple series against the Yankees, which, could get a little bit, they could derail maybe against that team. But I like this schedule for them because they're not playing insanely easy teams. They're playing teams that are also trying to prove themselves, trying to prove that they can get out to a hot start, and maybe this year will be different. And I think that's important because I don't want these Orioles to coast. I want them to continue to feel like they have a chip on their shoulder. They have something to prove because people still aren't really taking them seriously. I still see a lot of people putting them last in the AL East considering all that talent they have on their roster. So when you got 4 in the middle of the month against the Oakland A's, when you got 7 games total against the Tigers, 2 Red Sox series, I feel really good about the Orioles maybe getting 3, 4, 5 games over 500 exiting April. That's my pick.
I like that one. And it's interesting because, they have said Gunnar Henderson's probably going to start the year there. I think he is going to start the year there. Grayson Rodriguez, I think they're deciding on in spring training. They're going to give him every chance to win that spot. I don't know what that means. Front offices always say that.
Makes
In my experience, they know who's going to make the team before you get to spring training. Very, very rarely do you have a true spring training battle because, and I've said this before on the show, if you're a front office and you're relying on a sample size of 20 at-bats or 15 innings in spring training to make your decision, that's not what you want to be doing. We don't do small sample sizes. Not smart people. We don't do it. Dummies like me like small sample sizes, not these Harvard-educated dudes. So I'm curious to see if they've already got Grayson in the rotation, or are they going to wait to see what kind of start they get off to? And if they do get off to a good start, does that mean they're going to bring up, the other guys, DL Hall, and bring them up and say, hey, maybe last year wasn't a fluke. Like, let's go get this thing. But on the flip side of that, bad April. Now, do we wait for sure until we get these guys an extra year of service time? That's kind of where I'm at with all of this. And I think I lean on the side of this team's probably going to come out with a chip on their shoulder. Brandon Hyde's going to get the boys fired up for the start of April, but they got to go do it.
Yeah.
I think, the first couple series are going to be really telling for the Orioles.
And I mean, they're kind of a trade deadline team to watch for, too. They have Santander, who you guys love talking about. He's a big question mark, whether he stays or goes come August. And, they did buy themselves some innings with Kyle Gibson and Cole Irvin in that trade. So they have guys they can lean on in the rotation. They didn't make the big splash move that I think a lot of people thought they would make. But at the same time, they have the pieces to succeed. So I'm very curious about them.
Yeah, like a lot of the young guys in their crew. I thought they were gonna make at least one like long-term investment type signing, especially with that left field. Like I think a lot of people were hoping they'd be in on a Carlos Rodon or someone against righties to prevent some homers.
I like them for Waka too, but he just went to the Padres.
Just went to the Padres. Good for. Do we know where his deal? What the numbers ended up?
It was like
there?
$6 million or something. Yeah. Not a lot.
Yeah, I know he was looking for multiple years, but yeah, I think my pick is almost in direct opposition to your pick, so I think I'm gonna go. And I think my pick is a team that could surprise us with a big April. Is the Boston Red Sox.
Oh,
wow.
Do not have an offseason people like. I don't really like it. I don't like the outlook for their season as a whole, but in April, the rotation they have, they can stick to the plan with them, with their revamped bullpen. I think that pitching plan can work for April. I don't know how equipped they are to withstand injury, but if they're healthy through April, that lineup is capable of banging, and they have, if the Orioles stumble at all, they have 6 games against the Orioles in April. They play the Pirates in April. They play the Tigers in April. Then there's some harder teams, but they can, again, if the plan's working and they're banging in April, which can very much happen, there's good vets. They can take care of business against the Rays, Angels, Twins, Brewers. Any given series, they can upset one of those teams. And we could be looking at the end of April and saying, why do the Red Sox have such a good record after the offseason? We just bashed them for. I don't know how equipped they are to withstand a whole season with this crew and with the loss of Xander and their rotation looking the way it does, but I think it's a group that can survive April.
I'm not a big Red Sox believer this year. Trevor Story being out is, I think, really
Tough.
bad for
Yes,
them. I was really counting on a bounce back year. He elongates that lineup a lot. Let me set the mood and the picture for you guys. We're in spring training. We're in Fort Myers, Florida. Okay, we're at JetBlue Park down there. Red Sox, a couple guys on the backfield, but most guys are in the clubhouse. Justin Turner stands on his chair and goes, "Hey, listen up, guys. Nobody believes in us." And it's true, because this is not me talking. It is true. Nobody believes in you guys except the Red Sox Nation. I think they made some good moves, BBD. I didn't mind their offseason. I don't love the pitching staff, the starters, that much. I know what they did for the bullpen. I understand that. We got to have a lot of guys living up to their potential in the starting rotation, which hasn't happened in the last couple of years. All right, back to Justin Turner. Hey, guys, nobody believes in us. Kike's over here, and he's like, "Yeah, man, nobody believes in us. You guys know what we did with the Dodgers?" And everyone's looking at him like, "What? Stop fucking talking about the Dodgers, bro. We get it. You guys were good." And then Yoshi's over there. He's got his big-ass calves trying to get his socks over him. It's tough because they're so big. And he's like, "Yeah, man, nobody believes in us." And then I could see them. Alex Cora comes out, and he says the same thing. And you bring that energy into the year, and I could see them riding that high for a little bit. You can have that. That could elevate the T levels a little bit and get them to overachieve. But that doesn't. You can't ride that all year long.
I don't believe in them.
Maybe they do get out. Maybe they do get out to a fast start in April, using that as some motivation. But I have a tough time believing in this team because of that starting rotation. It is a little thin. Like I said, you got to have Chris Sale coming back and being.
He's got to be Chris Sale.
He can't be. He's not going to be Chris Sale, bro.
Yeah.
Like I want him to be. He's a hell of a pitcher. I faced him so much in my career. I understand what he can be, and I do think he can make the transition into he's not going to throw that hard anymore, but he can still pitch. I think he can do it. He's got enough funk, enough. His repertoire is good enough to do that. But then going down the line, I mean, I don't know. I really feel like this bullpen is going to get taxed in April.
Oh, I think so for sure. I don't believe in them to get off to a good start in April and then maintain that for the season. I think that's how you you got to pace yourself over a full year. It's a long season. But I think if this formula that we think they've got as their plan, I think for an April you can execute that.
I mean, I'm looking at their schedule, and I see your thought process because I see Pirates, I see Tigers,
And it's in direct opposition to the Orioles. If the Orioles
which is why
click
I don't
to start,
because I love my O's. But also, one thing I'm circling right in the middle of that April is 4 games down at the Trop against the Rays. Kind
Are
of
you
tough.
trying to segue me?
I mean,
I don't like this, people. We didn't do this on purpose. When we were coming up with teams, we all came up with an AL East team.
We were scared that we all had the same team. That's why we confessed to each other
Usually,
what it was.
We love the AL mid, okay? We do. We don't necessarily love the NL mid too much here, but we've been coastal elites, and we're going to continue to be coastal elites, apparently. I'm sorry. I thought I was going to be the guy that took a central team or a west team, and it just didn't happen because I'm believing in my Tampa Bay Rays. Now, their schedule is very interesting. I'm going to start there, and then we'll go over the roster. Now, we just did a TPP with them, I believe, and that's kind of where my head's at right now. The guys they have on that team, I'm looking and I'm liking. But check out this first. What is this? Quick math. 8 games. 2 with the Tigers, 3 with the Nats, 3 with the A's. They could be 8-0.
Yeah.
They could be 8-0 to start April, people. Like, at worst, I'm giving them a 6-2 start to this season. 4 games over 500. And then they get your Red Sox. Then they go to Toronto where things will get a little dicey, but I think they can handle that. Obviously, they're very comfortable playing up there. But then you get the Reds, and then you got 7 games against the White Sox to end it. So the schedule's there for me. And you know, you can play the schedule game all you want, but what do you got on the field? I talked about this on the TPP. I won't give it away too much, but this is the first time I believe in quite some time that the Rays kind of have a traditional starting rotation, which is scary for people because we know what they can do with their bullpen, how they mix and match, and they had the octopus arms, you know, where every single angle coming at you, right?
Yeah,
the whole clock. But you got Shane McClanahan, who, you know, is going to be one of the better pitchers in baseball. You got Tyler Glasnow, who has been one of the better pitchers in baseball. Go check out Drew Rasmussen and the stuff that he's got. Led Zeppelin, Jeffrey Springs just got his extension. Zeppelin comes in, he's got his deal. These guys are comfortable. These guys they're not 5 and dive guys. I'm not sure if the Rays are going to make them that. I hope not. And then as you get through the season, if these guys are going into the 6th and the 7th, and that bullpen's less taxed, I think this is going to equate to a better overall season for the Rays. Now, the offense, you know, Wander's got to go, but they have some guys that can really have bounce back years, like Below, excuse me.
He's loud.
I always miss that one. He's loud. Let's get back doing your dang thing. Let's stay healthy, which I think is really important for the Rays. It's important for anybody. But I like this lineup, and I like that they have a traditional starting 5, and they really haven't had that in quite some time.
I mean, I'm going to say this as a Mets fan because I want that out there. I think the 2 best starting rotations in baseball are in the AL East. I think it's the Yankees, and I think it's the Rays.
Wow.
And a lot of it hinges on health, and you can say that for so many different teams. But this Rays team won 90 games last year and made the playoffs, and they had a league average offense. They were 100 weighted runs created plus.
They had like the worst injury team ever.
Yeah.
Their guys were not guys last year, and you know what? I kind of expect them to be guys this year because Wander Franco got a bag, and he's not going to be the guy you saw last year. He's going to be good. And you know what? When I look at the Rays bullpen and I see some names that I don't know, that scares me because that means those guys are going to be good because I have no idea who they are, and they probably throw out some funky arm slot with some pitch you've never seen. The Rays are going to be there. You guys always say it, but I think this is maybe the most talented Rays team I've seen since their 2020 run.
Wow.
I like it. I'm on the Rays big time. I think I even went under on them last year. Or maybe it was one of us went under on them last year, and I think it was Jimmy. He's like, dude, they just can't keep winning every single year the way they do. I'm like, dude, yes, they can.
Can't count them out.
Yes, they can. I don't know if it's the Trop effect, because you get pretty depressed when you have to go into town and play that in that stadium. It just gets a weird feeling. Sometimes I loved it.
And they got good Trop matchups too. Like they got the Astros coming to them. They got the Red Sox coming to them. White Sox coming to them. So that's big.
Even their tough teams are at home. I like the philosophy there. Jake and I did who's the biggest threat to the Yankees in the AL East, talking Yanks, and it's Rays might have it.
Yeah,
it's between them and the Blue Jays, I think, fairly obviously, but you can say you believe either of those teams, and it's that.
O's, right?
2022, Jake called his shot on the Rays being under 89.5, and I guess they won 90 games, so he wasn't far off. Jimmy took not the over. He wasn't.
Yes.
Just like the Yankees, he took not the under. But
I want to get away from the AL East. And I think, Jolly, you're going to give us one more. You said you had another team that's not in the AL East, right?
Yes.
Yes,
And
but wait.
Oh, go off. I'm sorry.
Before we get there, because ties into Ray's magic. Did you guys see the John Jaso article?
I did. The life living.
I think we kind of got to talk about it a little bit.
Pirates talk.
I'd love to hear
Jaso
about it.
and I, we played together, against each other for quite some time. So I got to know him. Very, very solid dude, good dude. Definitely had some drinks and maybe some other stuff with him at some point. But if you haven't seen it, just Google John Jaso. It's going to come up for you. He, retired from baseball, I believe, in 2017.
17, and it looks like his last year with the Pirates.
So he, made some money and was like, I'm done playing. He could have continued to play, but instead was like, you know what? I want to go sail on my boat. And during his last year in the big leagues, he went and found his boat. And then ever since then, he's been learning, or he learned how to be a captain. And he's just been perusing like the Bahamas and the Keys down in Florida and just kind of going everywhere. It's so interesting. I don't want to give the whole article away, but go ahead and get your read on it. He's got the dreads like he did at the end of his playing career. He looks like he should be sailing a boat around the Bahamas. It's awesome. He's got his girlfriend there. I think they do some YouTube stuff. So like they're kind of making, content and just having fun. And I'm like, how could you look at that and not be just a little bit jealous of John Jaso's life?
I mean, he played for the Pirates his last 2 years, and I think he decided, you know what? Let's go be an actual.
I don't think he's not a pirate though. He's not stealing.
Might as well be.
He saw all the imagery.
Should be.
What if he is going around just stealing?
Listen,
like he's
if I'm on a
pirate?
boat and John Jaso pulls up in his boat and demands all my treasure, I'm giving it to him. I'm not messing with that guy, dude. Look at him. Come on.
And he looked kind of like a pirate when he played. That's like that's his aesthetic.
Real life pirate. Love John Jaso.
So is this the year of the Rays? Because John Jaso, Rays, and famously caught the last perfect game in the big leagues, Felix Hernandez. Right. So is it going to be, we just found out the ALCS, Mariners versus Rays. And I wouldn't doubt that. That sounds like a good pick to me this year.
I'd watch it. I'd tune in. Why not?
And he'd be a good ref guess.
Oh, he
Give us your other team. Give us your other team.
So I went AL mid here because, you know what? I think the AL Central is going to be a good time this year.
Thank you.
I think it's going to be better than the NL Central. I'll say that. You got the Twins, who had a big offseason. The White Sox, who the hell knows what they're up to.
Still talented.
And then you got the Cleveland Guardians. And I want to talk about their April. Now, I don't know if the Guardians are going to repeat in the Central, but I think they had a fun offseason. They went out, they got Josh Bell. They have a dynamic 1-2 at the top of their rotation. And they've got some fun April matchups. You have your Royals games in there. You have your Marlins games. But one thing I want to highlight is that the Guardians play the New York Yankees 7 times in April. And the reason I want to highlight that is because do you remember who ended that Cinderella run for the Guardians late last year? It was the New York Yankees in a series that I thought it rings a bell to you, of course. And it was a series that I thought was very competitive, a lot of fun, really fun moments, a walk-off in there in Game 3. The Guardians were on the cusp of upsetting that team and going to the CS against the Astros. And I got to think that they're circling that on their April calendar and saying, hey, let's go get our revenge. Let's jump out to a hot start. Let's not even make it a race in the AL Central. The Twins got the headlines. Why don't we go out there and get the division when no one's talking about us? So I like the Guardians. I'm very eager to see where they end up. They've got 7 against the Royals. They got a series against the Nationals at home. There's plenty to feed on. And you've also got those big-time Yankee series.
The Guardians are kind of an enigma to me. Similar to where the Mariners were 2 years ago. I think this is a year that prove it to me. Now, I know that I like the squad. It's not like I don't like the squad. I just feel like I got to see it happen again. Like the way they were winning games last year, there's a lot of close games and they were doing it. We had some really balling years from some of the starters there. They did find, a back of the bullpen that they could just shut people down with there at the end of the year. I always think you have to have that.
That's right.
you could have a lot of things, but if you don't have a bullpen, you're going to lose games. You're not going to win those close games. I always reference the 2014 Tigers, I guess, or 2013
Probably
Tigers.
13,
You know, they had that really awesome starting rotation, and they had that really awesome lineup, but the defense stunk and they couldn't close games out. That's the bottom line. So you just had to wait it out a little bit, keep the game close, and then you could score runs at the end. Now, Guardians don't have that problem. They have people at the back end that can shut the game down. They have the starters. The offense got to continue to go. For me, it's going to be probably where I see them having to like outperform expectations or projections, I guess. And if they do that, they're going to be a hell of a team to play, especially come those playoff series. I mean, they're a team that can really win series with what they have.
I mean, they got Mike Zunino behind the plate, mashing. Feel like people forgot about that. Josh Bell, if he's him, who knows?
Yeah.
There's your cleanup hitter. I like it.
I was gonna say they win the division last year. It was close all season until they pull away at the end.
Right.
But so it was a close race, closer than it appears. But they had probably the two biggest impact additions, like the Twins. It's still bringing back Correa. Adding Pablo brings them into the group.
Joey Gallo.
And Gallo. But adding Josh Bell is like one of the bigger free agent moves they've ever done.
Yeah.
Might be the biggest besides Santana. And Zunino getting Pop behind the plate. They kind of punted offense behind the dish the last couple years, so having him back there is a new dynamic to the team they haven't had in a bit.
That's right.
So they have a chance to just actually be way better than they were. Like every team, they need things to go right. But
Josh Bell's projections are light to me. I'm looking at his projections right now. They have him slotted for 600 plate appearances. Great. But 20 homers, a 253, 345, 419. I think the slug will probably be a little bit higher than that.
Interesting.
I don't know. What is he career? Because right now they have him for like a 764 OPS. What is he career? I think it's more. It's got to be higher than that.
Yeah, I mean, for his career, it's an 810 OPS. With the Nats last year before the trade, he was balling out. He was one of the sneaky bigger all-star snubs. He has an 877 OPS, 301 batting average before getting flipped over.
Right, let's go projections. Give the guy a little bit of respect. Put some respect on this.
It's hard to hit in Petco. Like, I get it. New team, first trade. Like, come on.
Like, yeah, he didn't have the power we typically get from him. He hit almost 30 homers the year before and finishes with 17. So, but he's got more pop than that in the tank.
He's a 30 homer guy.
He can do that.
Yeah.
He has done that in 2019.
Hey, big AL pod today.
Big AL pod.
Oh, we didn't even mention one NL team. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
What's that? The senior circuit? That's what they call them, right?
Wow.
Yes. Trev, not an NL guy
This is a
besides the
kids
walk-off
episode.
homer in Philly.
Hater.
NL hater. But we have one NL team we can discuss real quick before we open it up to AMP.
What do you got?
Bryan Reynolds reported to spring training today, reiterated his trade request.
I watched that video. Bryan Reynolds has a way deeper voice than I thought he would. I don't know if that was me underestimating him, but that's a man's man. And you know what? He deserves his bag, so I kind of get it.
Yes,
What did he say on the video? Because I didn't watch this video. I'm reading up on it right now.
They asked him about the trade request and if anything's changed there, and he basically said, no, nothing's really changed on that front. And it sounds like the bulk of what the request is about is how far apart they are on extension talks.
Yeah, it's a little tough because I feel like the Pirates, considering their standards,
Where they're at.
had one of the better off seasons they've had in a while. But I'm not surprised at all that they're not in the ballpark of what Bryan Reynolds probably thinks he deserves as a really good center fielder when that position is so light right now.
Not that many fully good center fielders, and he's one of them.
Okay, we're going to do an exercise again. I'm going to get you guys into Dream World.
Okay.
We're going to set the scene. You guys are Bryan Reynolds. I'm the Pirates. Go.
Listen, I think that I'm a top 3 center fielder in the game right now.
Okay.
Maybe even top 2, maybe even top 1. Hell, I kind of look like him. I can really pull this off.
You can do this.
I deserve to be making 9 figures. I like playing in Pittsburgh. The ballpark is beautiful. Go out and try and find a power hitting center fielder that can really field the position. I don't think you can. Give me what I think I deserve, and let's go out there and let's win the Central, man. I'm not scared of the Cubs. I'm not scared of the Cardinals. I'm not scared of the Brewers. I just need to be making what I think I should be making, and then we can move on from there.
Do you want to get traded?
If you're not going to pay me.
Well, we're not going to trade you.
Are you
not yet, at least. You want to know why? We control you. 2023, 2024, 2025. You're just going to do what we say. Because we control you, bro.
That's evil. That's evil.
I hope they don't really do something like that, but they can say that.
Oh,
it's tough, man. I like that Bryan Reynolds is coming and trying to force the issue. I'm on Bryan Reynolds' side.
Of course.
The problem is, man, this is the way the game works. Like, the team has all the leverage until they don't. And right now they do. And I know the NBA has shown that some players have kind of taken over that league and have forced their way into some situations, but it doesn't really work that way in baseball. And we've talked about this before. Bryan Reynolds, he is an excellent player. He does deserve to get fairly compensated. But right now, where we stand as a sport, I mean, you kind of just gotta just wait your time, essentially. Hopefully behind the scenes, there's a little bit more going on between the front office and his agency, and they can kind of figure some things out, whether it is some sort of extension, whether it is a trade, because I feel for Bryan here. When you're giving your best years of your career and your team's not really competing.
Right.
Like they brought in some players, they bring in Kutch, they have a young core they're kind of trying to build around there, but by and large, they're not going to compete for any sort of playoff position in the near future. And as a guy who never played in the playoffs, I tell you what, Bryan, do whatever you got to do to get out of there, bro. Like, I'm down. I'm on your side here. Like, go to a contender. Try your best to get to a contender, because I think about almost every fucking day that I never got to play in the playoffs. I swear, I know that sounds stupid. And, I'm making this about me right now, which is totally fine because I'm kind of hosting the show.
It's your show, man.
Yeah.
I think about it, man. Like, that's the best type of baseball there is. So I understand where the Pirates are coming from. I understand where Bryan Reynolds is coming from. And I just don't know how the situation is going to shake out. But I do know that the Pirates have all the leverage, and Bryan can get in front of the cameras and say everything he wants. And I hope he continues to do that. But I don't know if that's going to change anything.
Yeah, not a free agent until 2026. Hit 27 home runs last year, career high. Switch hitter, 807 OPS, plays center field. He'll get a bag somewhere, but you'd rather see it happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah, he seems like he's looking for the security of a early lock-in, but just Pirates aren't getting to the price he wants. And baseball, the trade requests just don't really work like in basketball, where it means if you ask for a trade, you'll get one.
Yeah. Also, sneaky 28 years old this year.
Yeah, like obviously.
Prime time.
We're not
it's
doing
the perfect
that.
time
We're not
to
doing
want
that,
to trade
Jolly.
for him.
We're
Hands are
not
up.
doing 28.
Hands are
Yu
up.
Darvish is 35 and got 6 years, bro. Times are a change. And the
It's
Padres,
the time you'd want to trade for him if you're going to trade for him.
That's what I'm saying.
the Padres might just go out there and say, "Hey, we'll take him off your hands. We'll pay you, the Pirates organization, $100 million, and then we'll give him $100 million."
I didn't say the P
Here we
word.
go.
The PRIME word. Didn't say it.
Oh, okay. Well, this is, so they list the numbers in this article. His side has been asking for 130 to 135 over 8 years, and the Pirates' top offers come in at 6 years, around 80 million. So they're about 50 M's apart, a couple of years apart. And when they asked him about the numbers, he said pretty much everything out there has been fairly accurate. That's you never really get
not
that
what you
out of
wanna
someone.
He's being very
Interesting.
honest.
Yeah, I mean, Nimmo gets 8 and 160, and I feel like that's a good deal for how good he is. But
Yeah.
Bryan Reynolds,
There's some where you're at in the process stuff where he's only at 3 years service, so
Right.
there's some service time math you got to do on it. But you know what? Give him the 8 for 160 on top of the next 3 years.
he's a guy.
Give him a big one.
Give him
Make
the
him a
bag.
Pirate for life.
I don't know, man.
You think Kutch being there changes his tone a little bit? Like, what does Kutch do in this situation? I'm trying to put myself in his shoes. You're there, you're back. It's a kind of a freaking, swan song kind of thing for you. You're a Pittsburgh Pirate legend. You used to play center field there, and won an MVP and brought them to the playoffs. You know what the city can offer, but they're not there right now. So you have Bryan Reynolds. I'm sure Kutch sees a little bit of himself in Bryan Reynolds.
Yeah, I bet he does.
And if I think if I'm Kutch, I pat him on the butt and say, "Hey, bro, keep doing what you're doing. You deserve it. Like you deserve to get paid accurately." And doesn't mean it's going to happen, but
you go play, you'll get either the deal you want or they'll trade you somewhere that's trying to win.
Yeah, what'd you say before, that they were traded for each other?
I believe Bryan Reynolds was the return and the McCutchen to the Giants trade.
Kind of crazy.
Oh, wow.
Full circle. Nuts.
I feel like we've been talking about Bryan Reynolds and getting traded for what? 2 years?
Everybody's wanted this dude to get traded for a while, and now he's asking for it, so it's like, oh, we're finally right to be talking about it. We were early on it as a society.
Let me ask you something. Now we're going crazy.
Okay.
We're going to go crazy here. What if Bryan Reynolds somehow convinced Kutch, Andrew McCutchen, going to get his number retired by the Pirates? What if Andrew McCutchen says, you know what? You should pay him accurately, or you should trade him. Now you got your two stars on that front. What do they do?
You can't, I mean, I know
they still sit back and say, sorry, guys. Like, talk is talk.
This is just how it works, man.
Like Kutch said, this isn't a farewell tour. He said all the right things when he signed. I think this team can compete. All that. Happy to be home. All that. You gotta believe he has sway there. He was there for almost a decade's worth of his career. He won an MVP. You gotta believe that his opinion carries some weight in that front office. But like, what are the deals they've been handing out? What did they give Key Bryan? Like $70 million?
Yeah, right? He was, because that was.
Yeah, but that was first year.
Yeah.
I know.
Or second year.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that feels like the ceiling. 80 mil feels like
they're trying to give him the same thing.
I know, and it's just they're two different players. I don't see it happening. I really don't. It's tough.
So you think Bryan Reynolds is going to rot there until he becomes a free agent?
I do. I think they're too stubborn to trade him.
I think the Pirates probably believe next year they're gonna be like trying to win. Like more kids will take more steps, or maybe it's in 2 years. I think they're willing to wait it out, and I guess there's nothing in just how this all works in baseball that they should have to think differently. I think they have their plan. Whether it works, who knows? But
I'm excited for the Pirates PPP or TPP.
TPP.
Do you know how many times I asked for a multi-year deal from these teams I played with? A lot. I never got one. I remember going to the Twins, and I had second to last year of arbitration. They were we're talking. My number is decent. I think at the time it was like in the sevens for the 1 year. And I went and I said, hey guys, like, let's just buy out my last year of arbitration too. Like, give me some security. I've never had that. I've been playing year by year, every single year. Like, you know the kind of person I am. Like, I'm not a fuck up. I'm going to give you guys a good effort. I'm not going to get in trouble. Cleanest guy in baseball, all of that. And their response to me was, Terry Ryan said, no, we like the way this situation has been working out for us. We think the 1 year deals are good. I was like, all right, fuck, bro.
Such a
then
you weren't even looking for long-term security.
No,
with that
just
request.
buy out 1 more year.
I just don't want to negotiate one more time.
Suffocate every time I go into a slump and I have, break out in sweats. Then I become a free agent, and I'm talking to the A's now.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, hey, guys, I know you want me for 1 year. Why not make it 2?
2 years and it's signed, man.
David Force goes, we have a guy that we like that's coming up. So, no, this is going to be a 1 year deal. And that guy was Matt Chapman, who ended up taking my job 3 months later. So
pretty good guy from what I've heard.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Such a crazy way of saying, yeah, thanks, but no, we're good.
Yeah.
I run into Terry Ryan, who was the GM of the Twins, quite often at various baseball events. And I remind him of that all the time. Like, you could have gave me an extra year, bro. Like, come on. Like, you could have thrown me a bone. And he always laughs about that.
At least you're on good terms. We like that.
It's all right now. At least the A's, I think they might have been proven right on that one. Twins, they should have given you one.
Who was next? Who was waiting next? I don't remember.
Well, we had like Miguel Sano, and they tried to move him to right field for me, and it wasn't going to happen.
I forgot about that.
As soon as they moved Joe Mauer to first base, that kind of took up a corner spot, and it was Sano was in and I was out.
Where's Miguel Sano at? Did he sign?
I think he's still a free agent right now, right?
There's
Scoop him
a
up.
crazy story. Hector Gomez retweeted an article about Miguel Sano's father, and there's some murder going on. I honestly didn't get too far into it, but that is something that's happening right now, which is
Praise
kind
up.
of
I had no
crazy
idea.
to think about.
He's got some real life stuff.
Yeah, I just saw it. Wow. That's
Wow.
crazy.
All right.
Let's
Let's
move
lighten the
on.
mood.
Biebers. I think we got another. We don't have another topic we're going to go. We're going to bring it to the AMP portion here. We're going to answer some questions. And I love doing live stuff like this because we don't have a lot of time to prep. We have no time to prep. So it's just like off the top of the head, off the rip. I love that. I
So
think you got something to say before we start that, right, Beavers?
yeah, the AMP app, that you guys get your questions ready to go, and hopefully I pick a good caller because it's sort of arbitrary. But in the meantime, while you guys prepare that, you should know that the biggest race of the NASCAR season is coming up this weekend, February 19th, the Daytona 500. It's also known as the Great American Race. It's the one race that every driver wants to win. We're sending some people there. The Ice Boys are going. They're going to film some content. The Talkin Giants guys are coming. Big NASCAR fans. They're excited. This is their first, not football trip. I know they're talking about how big a blast they're going to have. So there's going to be content on our end coming from there, and the race itself is Sunday. If you've never seen it, the event is unreal. 100K fans. More than that. Of all on the edge of their seats, witnessing the stars of the NASCAR Cup Series battling for position on the massive super speedway at 200 miles an hour. That's fast. With their cars just inches away from one another. If a driver wins this race, they'll forever be called the Daytona 500 champion and etch their name in the history books. And this year is even more special. It's a milestone Daytona 500, the 75th anniversary season of NASCAR. If you've never checked out NASCAR, you got to see this race. Park yourself on the couch for the afternoon and tune in to the Daytona 500 on Sunday, February 19th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox.
BBD ads.
That's a bucket list event for me. It's a bucket list event. Daytona 500. I got to get to an SEC football game. I'm in.
Amp time?
Okay. Amp time.
Let's do it.
D. Lopez 1630 looks like the one caller in the queue right now.
Huge.
So we're calling him
Remember,
in.
guys,
Sending
on
an
the
invite.
app-
You're going to get 15 seconds
Yes.
to fire off your question. We won't respond to you. We will hang up on you. So go ahead.
So, out of curiosity, I want to ask Chris Rose's question also, but it's all right. Anyways, I'm not sure if you saw Jim Bowden's proposal for the possible division separation and basically eliminating AL and NL, and they add 2 more teams to the MLB. I'm not so fond about the location. Maybe just Nashville, but Charlotte, North Carolina, I'm not sure that'll be a good baseball town. I really don't know what sport they really pay attention to besides the Tar Heels there. And just wanted to hear your thoughts if you saw that layout and how they're going to change the divisions and how they're going to pretty much, put the Angels, Dodgers, Padres, and D-backs in one. And then in the East, it's going to be obviously the 2 New York teams and then the Phillies and Red Sox. I'm not sure if you saw that layout and just curious of what you guys think about that possible doing. And supposedly this year is going to be the big experimental season, how everybody's playing each other and all that stuff. And just want to hear your take on that. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
That's a good question.
I
Good
appreciate
question.
that, D. Lopez. A proposal like that has been out for some time. I think Buck Showalter a long time ago put out his realignment proposal, and I was a big fan of that. Baseball always calls itself a regional game, and in some aspects, I do believe that is true. And in that case, if you believe that, I think that these divisions, moving teams, and getting rid of the ALNO and just really going by region, I think would spark a lot of cool rivalries. Part of me really likes the idea of the Dodgers, the Angels, the Padres, the Diamondbacks, all the California teams, West Coast teams playing against each other. And again, all the East Coast teams playing against each other. Think about, the road trips that people can have and the dynamic that causes between friend groups and water cooler talk. It gets people talking right now. Yankees, Mets, you talk about who's the better team, but like you don't get to play each other too often. Now this year's going to be different. We know with interleague play, it was different. Now the more balanced schedule, you're going to get a series, but like having that as part of a division, I think would be excellent fodder. And you throw in the Phillies there, and again, like now you're getting people able to travel to these different cities because you take a train or you drive on the freeways of California and check it all out. I think it could be good. And I don't mean to sound like but I don't mean to sound like a coastal elitist here. I think that we might see a lot of talent concentration on those coasts, and then the mid being kind of, well,
Just that.
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about the Mets-Yankees rivalry that really isn't, because we only play each other 4 times a year, and like
it's friendly.
It's friendly. Like it's not, there's no.
There's some people, different for some people take it very seriously,
but like you look at the NBA and like some of the best games of the year are when the Knicks and Nets play each other, and like the Knicks finally got one, and that was like a huge night. You got your Knicks sweatshirt on, of course. So I think there's a lot to love in the aspect of that. I do think Bowden's proposal probably needs some tinkering for exactly what Trev said, like tinkering around with like the dispersal of power. Because like if you look at one of the divisions, like the Blue Jays have a pretty good go of it, having like the Tigers in their division, and like who knows where the expansion teams are going to land. And like Mid-Atlantic is Orioles, Pirates, Nationals, and an expansion team. Like there's not a lot to love in those aspects, whereas like you get really top heavy with Mets, Yankees, Red Sox. So I think that the idea is good, because I really like the way NFL has their divisions in terms of 4 per and 4 divisions total. It just needs to find the right footing, I guess.
Yeah, that's sort of, Jake and I discussed this article on Wake and Jake, so check that out. That's sort of a little bit where we landed. This specific proposal by Bowden, fun exercise. It's changing a little too much for baseball's a very purist-driven sport, which got to combat that a bit. It's a lot of moving parts here. I think if they were to realign, and I think that's coming at some point in the next however many years, it's been over 25 years since there was real MLB expansion and realignment. There's like that Mid-Atlantic division, Orioles, a Charlotte team that doesn't exist, Pirates, Nationals. None of them have been in a division before. There's no long-standing rivalry there. Getting rid of NLAL, I think, is going to freak too many people out. So I don't think it would happen this way.
But we're creating rivalries. I think that's kind of where I'm at with this whole thing is right now, like you said, Yankees, Mets, it's fun to talk about. Dodgers, Angels, it's fun to talk about. You get the Freeway Series before the year and then, once during the year. But that would create some real deal talk, man. I like it because that's what you need. We're an entertainment-based sport. We are. So you need entertainment. You need to entertain people. You need people talking about you. You need people showing up to the games. And I think that stuff like this is where we need to be going. Because right now, I mean, look, you talked about like some of these, fairy tale divisions that Bowden made up being top heavy. We could talk the same thing about the AL East and the AL Central last year. So like it happens.
Yeah. And like I'll tune into Cubs White Sox. Like that's a rivalry that we don't really get. And like that could be really good because Chicago's a great baseball town and we've never really seen that. And the same goes for a bunch of these other divisions. I just think you can realign it in a way that can make it even better.
Sure.
Yeah, and we would get some new rivalries and discussions. Jolly, you need you to rejoin the AMP session somehow. Years thing quit. So that would be an added benefit. But I think when they're getting down to the dollars and cents of it, this specific proposal would be changing a little much. That I don't think they'd want to do. That happened to Jake once. It was weird. Anyway,
crazy.
Now we're
gonna edit this out of the podcast version here, but we're getting Jolly back on AMP. There you go.
We're in. Let's go, baby.
All right. Thank you, D. Lopez, for that call. We're definitely interested in the expansion. I've been talking about it for years. I think it could be good for the game. We need to spice it up a little bit. So let's take another caller, BBD.
Let's do it.
I would love to take another caller. Currently no one in the queue. Theo's in. All right. Inviting.
Oh, here we go.
Get your brains ready.
This will be, I think, our last question. We've had a good time. Once he looks like he's joined, I am unmuting him. Go ahead.
Hi, guys. They added additional rules to the rule sets of new rules coming in. And Jerry Blevins yesterday was talking about how bulk rules are going to be pressed on and how probably a lot of funky pitchers will not be able to do their funky pitching windup. My question is based around that, which is if they're going to impress upon the bulk rules, which are always been confusing, do you think that will actually save time? Or do you think it will cause more delays due to bulks being called and then immediately argued with them?
Feo, that you know what? Typically, you make me think so much. I don't have to think much on this one. I think what we're going to do here, and they mentioned this, Jason Stark had a really good article talking about how spring training is going to be a shit show. Because they're going to call every single little thing. And I referenced to the boys earlier that they're going to be similar to a – hold on. I got like a bad throat right now. Hold on.
Both
Go
of us.
ahead.
Look at
Oh,
you.
my God.
I'm just always coughing. That's my whole life.
Here's what I'll say. I'll cover for Trev while he's dying.
Oh, my gosh.
I want to take into account the young players and what they think of this, because these are the guys that came up through the minor leagues when things were getting tested out and they were figuring out how everything is going to work. And we've seen that the results from that have been beneficial. Like we've shortened games by like 20, 25 minutes. And I saw our guy, I hope I'm saying his name right, Michael Hermosillo, who is going to be in the Yankees minor league system.
Hermosillo,
Hermosillo,
I
that was
believe.
close.
I don't actually know that. I
But
think so.
what he said was, you guys are going to love the pitch clock rules. Trust me. I trust him.
Yeah, I think what Feo is referencing is the new Bach rules. Like
Right.
Gaussman's going to be affected by it.
Luis Garcia.
Luis Garcia rocking the baby is going to be affected by it. As a hitter, I'm down for all this stuff because it makes you have like a more traditional windup, and it helps your timing, and that's what hitting's all about. But referencing Jason's article, now that I got my throat back a little bit, it's going to be a shit show in spring training. I do believe everything he said in that article. You're going to have guys getting called for a walk or get an extra strike put on them because they're not engaged to the hit or to the pitcher soon enough. We're going to see some guys being angry over it. But as I was referencing to you guys earlier, it's like a horse that needs to be broken. Like you just got to go do it. You got to get through the ugly parts. Eventually guys will understand, how the game works, the pace of it and everything. And I think the end product will be better. They said like when they first instituted this last year in the minor leagues, they were getting a strike or a ball called like twice a game. And then a month later, it was like once a game. And then now it's like half the times per game. So once every 2 games. I think guys will pick up on it quickly because they're going to have to. Because once you start getting the regular season games, like minor leagues don't mean shit. Like win-loss records, they don't mean anything. In the fucking big leagues, that's all that matters. So you better get used to it or you're going to be losing games. And guess what's going to happen? If you're a guy that's like a repeat offender and you just can't figure out a fucking pitch clock, you're going to get sent out. You are. We can't have you complaining about it and, and putting your team in a bad situation because you just can't get used to a clock. Like it's going to have to happen. Spring training. The interesting part of all this is spring training is different this year because of the WBC. And they're not implementing those rules in the WBC. So the guys that are in the WBC are going to be playing traditional baseball. Those games are going to be long as shit because we're going to have, this is the superstars and they're going to be walking around, doing what superstars do when they get, to bat and all that. So those guys are going to be at a disadvantage when they come back as far as working with the clock. The people in spring training, they're going to get hit over the head with this thing. I think they're going to be ready as the season starts. But ready or not, it's coming. And if you're going to be a guy, like I said, that's going to be a repeat offender, you're going to get sent down unless you're a guy. And if you're that, you're going to get talked to quite, angrily.
I mean, if the young guys who haven't been in the show can get acclimated to it, I'm pretty sure anyone can. But I mean, it's going to be very much not like, when we first started seeing the sticky stuff checks and they were very thorough at the beginning. Over time, they kind of walked it back and it became a little slap on the wrist and then, off on your way.
Sticky stuff is back.
Yeah,
It
it's back. We all know. But I'm saying this is not going to be like that. This is going to be strict. That's why they're tackling it so early in spring training to get everyone in the mode of, hey, this is going to be around. This is part of the game now. Get used to it, or get left behind. Good
All
question,
right.
though.
I think that's it for today on Talking Baseball. Jolly, you came in and you absolutely crushed it, man. Beavers, I love having you on the mic a little bit more. This could be a normal thing. We could tell the guys take vacations more often.
You guys should both go away all the time. Get married more. Yeah.
Don't say that. Congratulations to Jess and Jake.
The
A
two
very
of them
beautiful
should go
couple.
get married like every month. Just keep doing
I want
it.
the bachelor party to happen. I missed the bachelor party. That was messed up.
They didn't invite you?
No, they did, but I couldn't come.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I live on the West Coast.
We can
bro.
spin it whatever way
If you
we
want to come to New York,
And the show, Beavers.
It's done. Saying the line.
could be.
I think you should say it. You should say it. Say it right
Just
now.
walked him off.
Jake sucks.
Oh,
Oh, that stings.
hey, Bryan Reynolds. No.
Not happening.
But keep trying, bro. Keep fighting the good fight. And if worst case scenario happens, you just ride off on that sailboat with John Jason.
He'll find you.
John Jason.
Someone said in the chat, is John Jason going to show up at Jake's wedding and rob the whole fucking thing?
He might.